Hi, welcome to the Audience Outlook Monitor, which is tracking how Australian audiences feel about attending arts and culture events in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Tandy Palmer-Williams, Managing Director of Pattern Makers, and I'm here to introduce the dashboard, which is the core resource that's freely available thanks to our research partner Wolf Brown and our supporting partners, the Australia Council and key arts agencies around Australia. It's a hugely challenging time for everyone, and while no one knows the future course of the pandemic, information on when audiences will be ready to return to public spaces and under what circumstances is vital for our decision making and forward planning right now. So what we've done in this study is ask a sample of cultural organisations around Australia, such as museums, galleries, performing arts organisations and festivals, to send a survey to a sample of their audience database, and specifically people who attended an event since January 2018. So the survey asked audiences how they feel about attending different types of events right now, how they'll make decisions about going out, and how they're interacting with arts and culture from home, including their response to marketing and fundraising initiatives. 159 organisations helped us administer the survey, including organisations of all different sizes, in all states and territories, in regional and metro areas, and covering every major art form. So by aggregating the results, we can build a picture of audiences unlike anything we've really ever seen before. So by pooling data from over 23,000 respondents and 159 different organisations, we can identify trends that might not be visible in an individual database. And we can provide you with the ability to zoom in on different audiences and access trends that shape how people are feeling about attending right now. So in a moment, I'm going to hand over to Megan Bander from Wolf Brown to show you around the dashboard and let you know how you can apply filters to find the results that are relevant to you. But before I do, I just want to mention a couple of things. So firstly, this is not a survey of the general population. It's very much about arts audiences. So it reflects the views of those who buy tickets to events and who appear in audience databases of funded cultural organisations. So secondly, this is the first part of a 3-phase study. This data was collected between the 6th and the 14th of May 2020, and the findings reflect a fairly cautious outlook about public interaction right now. We're going to be collecting data again in July and September to track how things change as the limitations on gatherings in our communities change. Lastly, this study is a bit different because we're putting the data in your hands much more quickly and much more openly than we normally would with major research. But with things changing so quickly, we've moved heaven and earth to make this data available as soon as possible. And so we haven't spent weeks analysing it ourselves, refining our interpretation and polishing off our 100-page report. We're handing the reins to you, and we're excited to see what insights you discover in the data. But we ask that you please share your ideas and insights using the hashtag Audience Outlook Monitor, because right now it's all about the conversation that we have and the quality of the conversation we have rather than crafting the perfect research report. So if you want to check anything at all, ask us a question or suggest a cut of the data that's not yet available, please get in touch with us at info@thepatternmakers.com.au. You can also visit the homepage for the Australian study, www.thepatternmakers.com.au/COVID-19. And there you can download snapshot reports, fact sheets, read more about the method and what's included in the study. And you can also put forward an idea of your own for the future of this research. So this is a really difficult time for everyone, and no amount of data can solve the problems that we face. But we hope that this helps make us make better decisions and plan ahead with more confidence and really reduce the level of risk we're taking on in our decision making. All right, over to you, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Bander. I work for Wolf Brown, who's working with Pattern Makers on the Audience Outlook Monitor. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Audience Outlook Monitor dashboard. We hope that this video will give you an overview of the features available to you and also how you can select custom views so that you can segment the data that will be most relevant to you and your organization's interests. When you log into the Audience Outlook Monitor dashboard, you'll be taken to the homepage. This homepage displays a list of reports on the left and information about the data collected on the right. You'll see different reports in the dashboard from reports that display information on audiences' attitudes about different venue safety measures to reports that display information about the types of creative activities audiences have been doing at home. You'll see that when you roll over the list of reports, a description pops up that tells you a little bit about what's in each report. Over here, you see information about the data collected. You can see the national sample and then the number of surveys collected by organizations in each state or territory. As our study continues, you'll see multiple surveys listed under each state or territory that represent the data collected in future deployments of the survey. So let's begin by clicking into this key indicators report. The main thing that I wanted to show you about this report is just that for this report only, you're seeing only the national data. And that's because this report is intended to give you a quick snapshot of some of the key indicators about patrons' readiness to return at the national level. And we think that these charts in particular are going to be important as the study continues and you're able to see time series data. So you'll see up at the top here that you can move from report to report within the dashboard. So let's click into returning to events and I'll show you a few more details. So here we have that same control panel, but now you can see that all of the states as well as the national data are selected. If you scroll down, you'll see what that default view looks like, which is to display data from each state side by side. However, you can select a custom view here. So you could, for example, select none and then only select New South Wales if you wanted to only see data collected by organizations in New South Wales. You can select any combination of surveys you'd like. I'll note that if you click into any state or territory, you'll see the specific survey. In the future, there'll be more than one survey listed here as additional rounds of the survey are deployed. So then we'll go over to filters. Here you can see the full subset of filters that are available to you. Filters allow you to cross-tabulate data by other questions asked in the survey. For example, if you want to see how people in different age categories feel about returning, or if people with different arts attendance frequencies are engaging differently with arts and culture online. You can also use filters to view a subset of data that's going to be most in line with your organization. For example, if you are a venue-based presenting and exhibiting organization, you may want to see only results collected by that type of organization, and you could do that through a filter. You could filter even further, for example, by selecting organization's region type, which will parse out data collected by metropolitan versus regional and remote organizations. So you'll see that when I did that, this automatically selected all together for me. When you have two filters, you'll always be viewing the data all together. And what that means is that it's going to aggregate responses from any selected surveys into one. In this case, we only have one survey selected, so it won't make too much of a difference. That view that we were viewing when we saw all the states side by side when we first turned this on, which we can still see here, that is the by survey view. So now that all together has been selected, we're going to apply option and that will lock in our selections. And now we're seeing the conditions under which people will return for only organizations in New South Wales and only for venue and presenting exhibiting organizations. So right now we see metropolitan and regional or remote, but we also see this show unstable data that popped up. If we click that on, we can see any category in which there's less than 30 responses. Those are hidden to caution you against looking at very small samples. If we only wanted to look at metropolitan organizations data, for example, we could click this on and that would isolate that metropolitan data. So let's go back up and I'll show you some other ways that you could make selections. If we go back and click select all, we might only want to look at one filter and do that by survey. For example, we could do this filter, which is serious health vulnerability, and that segments out respondents that have a member of their household who's particularly vulnerable to COVID-19 from those who do not. So then we'll select by survey, click apply options, And here you'll see that you're back to that state-by-state view, but it parses out results from the two categories. So let's go over back to the top and look at demand for live events with this filter on. You can use these little blue jump buttons to jump from chart to chart without needing to scroll through. So for example, you could look at comfort level by size. And here we're seeing how people with and without health vulnerabilities in different states feel about going to venues of different sizes. What I wanted to point out here is that this is a point chart, and so it's displaying the average response on a scale from 0 to 2. If you hover over this chart or the answer options, you'll see the number of that average for each of these different states and filter subsets. If I move up here, you can see the way that different charts display. So this is a column chart for a multi-select question. And here, the colors in each column represent the percent of people that said that they had purchased tickets for events 4 months, 5 months, 6 months from the date of taking the survey. What I wanted to note about these is that because people could select multiple answer options, the percent for each column will add up to well over 100. So you can use these return to top tabs as well to jump back up to your menu. And we can go over to venue safety because I wanted to show you that sometimes we will display the same question multiple ways to allow you different views of the data. So here we see a summary chart that shows how people felt that different safety measures might encourage or discourage them from attending cultural facilities. Here again, we're seeing that average on a scale from 0 to 4, and if you hover, you can see what that number is. But here we have also below displayed the data as column charts so that you could see how something like face masks, for instance, may be more or less polarizing. So let's go up here, and here you can see the percent of people that selected each answer option and can see that there are some people that feel strongly encouraged or strongly discouraged by this particular safety measure. And again, we can go up to the top to continue navigating. The last thing I wanted to point out to you, I can demonstrate to you in Creativity at Home. Here, I'm going to take off the filters and view the data all together. Again, I'm going to apply my options to cement the selection. And here's a question about the types of creative activities people have done at home. And you'll see that each chart and each survey will have this N value under the survey. And that's the number of people that responded to this particular question being displayed in the chart. And you'll see that that N value will vary throughout the survey. In this instance, we see an N value of 7,500, even though over 20,000 people took the survey. And that's because not all questions were asked to all respondents. This particular module on creativity at home was only asked to a third of survey takers. This N value will also update when you select filters. For example, we can select performing arts attendance frequency. And now you'll see the number of people that you're looking at in each of these subsets, and it's a good reminder of the sample size that you're looking at whenever you're looking at data in the dashboard. So that's the last thing I wanted to show you as part of our brief introduction, and we hope that this provides you with some useful pointers on how to use the dashboard and that you'll dive into the data and explore. Thanks so much.